industry, I'm very familiar with the importance of the transport industry, and also at the political level too. I think, obviously nothing happens, particularly in the country, unless the transport industry is alive and well. This book is about the people who sit behind the wheel, that actually guide the vehicle from destination A to destination B. John said he hasn't been to many book launches, but I bet you he's carted some books over the years from one destination to another. Everything that we get, and nearly everything that anybody gets, sees the back of a truck at some stage, and therefore it sees the front of a driver through a windscreen, moving the freight from one source to another. And I know just in my lifetime at Werris Creek, with growing grain and other things, that I grew up in the days of Don Parry, that John and others would be familiar with. Don started out as I think he was a guard on the railway in Werris Creek, and then bought one truck, and then developed it, into quite significant industry, and his boys have taken that on now. You'll see Parry's Transport with a Tamworth address now, but Don started out, like a lot of people, started out having a go. Not a large financial backing behind him, but having a go and having some initiative. And a lot of the names in transport come from that initiative. People getting out there, owner-drivers to start with, and then developing into an industry. The Carey family, it's an enormous operation. I do congratulate you for what your family have been able to achieve, John. I've been over the other yard running around looking for this, for this particular function. But the truck driver, this book, as I understand it, is really about warts and all. What it's like to be behind the wheel. So I'd be very interested to hear what the real people think in terms of those who do drive the trucks, those who are away from their families for extended periods of time, those who do feel the pressure of roadworks and interferences and accidents, and that see accidents along the way. The highs and the lows of being behind the wheel, looking through a windscreen most of their days, and the people they've had to deal with over the years and on a day-to-day basis. I can remember many characters that some of the others here might remember. People who used to work for Les Howard, for instance, Stan Lewin. You remember Stan? Many of those guys that, extraordinary people that did big hours, enjoyed their work, enjoyed the company of others. And I think one of the most emotional times that I've spent in recent years has been at a number of the Truckies memorial events. Quite extraordinary reflections on the lives of those who aren't with us anymore and who have participated in the transport industry. If anybody hasn't been, they should go, because it's been going for many years now. I haven't been to every one of them, but it's an extraordinary confirmation of the way in which people are held in the industry. So without further ado, Jan, if I could launch your book, and I'd encourage all of you to buy one if you can, or to get someone. I think they're available in all good bookstores. Probably not in the bad ones, but
Lynch on Carey's one.
It's now my official duty and great pleasure to formally launch Jan Karp's book, Truckies, Life Behind the Wheel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, firstly, you can't have a book launch if no one actually comes to your launch. So thanks for the effort and coming along. Thanks for coming from Gloucester. Appreciate that. This book has taken about 4 years in the making. I couldn't get funding for it. I self-funded it, the research. The funding that was available was about how to improve regulations in the industry. So if I was prepared to write about how to regulate you more, I would have got some money. And I wasn't interested in writing about that. I'm a working class woman. I come from South Sydney, well not originally, but spent a lot of time there with the wharfies, and most of them are pretty disagreeable people, to be honest, but I've known them 15 odd years, and I would hear their stories, and they were constantly telling me they were going broke. I retired from the police, and when you leave a career, you feel a bit lost. I wasn't sure who I was anymore, and you know what my purpose was. And I'm on a police pension. Thank you for the injuries actually that I sustained through police to get that. But having got that pension, I decided to put it to good use, and it was an expensive thing to do. But I rode the trucks, and I didn't go on any trips with people I knew. I actually met people who I didn't know and found them actually to be less disagreeable than the ones that I did know. And I think that's just a familiarity. You see really how people feel, and when people don't know you as well, they put you in your truck. But then I did get to know them over 14, 15-hour rides. Mostly I felt very well getting in, quite healthy, and by the end of a long trip, I didn't. I felt exhausted, stayed in a motel room, trip the next day. I found the dust affected my asthma, and I was introduced into I think, a very difficult workplace. But this book is about them. There were 2 drafts. The first one was probably more academic, and I felt there were 2 voices in it. There was sort of an academic voice and a Truckies voice, and that wasn't what I wanted. So I spent another 18 months rewriting it and making it simply the men's voices. It's controversial. There's a chapter on sex on the road, there's a chapter on drug use, but there's also a close look at the regulatory practices and the economics. I have no doubt anyone who would read it would say, well, I haven't experienced that, or I have experienced this, because there's lots and lots of voices in it. And my aim was not to report a Labor voice or a Liberal voice, and that's why I'm very, very pleased that Mr. Windsor launched it as an independent. It isn't a political book. It's already been reported in a way I wouldn't have liked. Some mention of some facts that aren't in it. And you have to roll with the punches with that. I didn't respond to that, and I won't. But they were incorrect details. And in fact, this is my second book. The first one was on police corruption. And I know that highlighting anything through like a whistleblowing expose changes nothing. I know it doesn't work. So there is no aim at exposing in this. It's simply these men, how they feel as I recorded them on the road. And thank you very much for coming. Thanks for launching it. I appreciate it. I'll finish on this. I like workers who work. Those women over there work. Mr. Windsor's always working. John Kerry's always working. And what's really nice is when I ring, and I don't know John Kerry never met him, I was told that he was an honest, responsible, good owner of trucking. I had no idea his concern was as large as what it was. He got a voice cold call and said yes. And I rang Mr. Windsor's office and they said yes. And that's what people who work hard do. They just come along and support people like me, and I'm deeply appreciative of it. Thank you.